So guys, tune into the show. Don't miss it because it's going to be an amazing show. You are going to be touched. You're going to be amazed. You're going to be excited. It's Thursday, 11 o'clock on a Thursday. The Message Talk Show with Alex Gordon. Yes, don't miss it. So guys, tune into the show. Don't miss it because it's going to be an amazing show. You are going to be touched. You're going to be amazed. You're going to be excited. It's Thursday, 11 o'clock on a Thursday. The Message Talk Show with Alex Gordon. Yes, don't miss it. Good morning, folks. Good morning. And it's Alex Gordon here on Thursday morning. We're here once again. Get your cup of coffee, get your cup of tea. Call your friends, call your worst enemies. Call the people who you don't like and tell them to tune into the Message Talk Show because it's Thursday morning. What happens on a Thursday morning? Well, on a Thursday morning, Alex has some wonderful guests on the show talking about some amazing things. And today we've got a phenomenal guest on the show, and you know, this gentleman has always amazed me. He has always amazed me. He's amazed me, but he has amazed me with his colors. He's amazed me with everything that he does. He's amazing. When I first saw him about 2 years ago, I think, wow, that's tremendous. And you know what? Everywhere I went, I saw his colors. Everywhere I went, I saw his colors. I couldn't believe it.
Oh my
Good morning,
mate.
sir. How you doing?
Oh, what a build-up. I'm very good. I'm do you know what? I'm in this kind of mindset like I always have been. I'm just kind of thinking, what can I say to help other people to help themselves? So I was just looking at some of the guests that was kind of scrolling through on your intro, and there's just amazing people that you have actually brought in. So I always think to myself, that's great. And what else can I kind of add to that? So listen, feel blessed. Thank you so much for the invite. I said this earlier on, didn't I? I feel like I'm talking to you more than my girlfriend at this stage. you were on my radio show on Sunday. I think you were there a couple of weeks ago as well. You're not stalking me, are you? I've got to look out for you, Alex, because this kind of thing's going on. But it's great. It's really, really nice. So great to share it. And how are you, sir? Let's just flip on you. How are you doing, sir?
Yeah, I can't complain. I'm doing well, connecting with some awesome people across the world. You know, but by talking, by putting yourself out, it then connects you with people. You then start to collaborate with different kinds of people. Yeah, and it just makes life so much enjoyable because you're in the midst of a pandemic. You're seeing potential. Yeah, in the midst of pandemic, and we must pay respect to those people who've passed away, those people who've suffered, people who have had family and friends die during the past 12 to 18 months. You know, deepest condolences. But in the meantime, we are still here trying to make. We're not trying. No, let me remove that word trying. We are still here causing change.
Yeah. Change
causing change.
And on that point, isn't it? And I read many moons ago, the only thing constant in life is change. And that lockdown, as you rightly pointed out, was such a challenging time for a lot of people. Because if you think about it, and not to get into too much detail, I do believe it hasn't gone, and I think we might be experiencing something perhaps around the winter months. But while it's not there, you know, it's all about us kind of just embracing it and doing what we're doing here, sharing knowledge and helping people. So thank you again for inviting me onto your show.
It definitely hasn't disappeared. It won't go for a long while. It's something that we're going to have to live with, something we're going to have to adjust ourselves with. But at the same time, it's looking out for each other. It's the taking care of each other. Because, you know, some people have been complaining that, okay, there's no real law that says you have to wear a mask, but do you need a law to wear a mask, or do you just consider the other people around you while you wear the
Yeah.
mask.
Yeah, do
When
you
you're
know,
in a
it's one of
crowded
those.
situation.
Yeah, it's one of those subjects. I was talking to a colleague of mine a couple of weeks ago, and as you can appreciate, it's one of these things where opinions and beliefs and mindsets, ironically enough, what I'm going to be talking about, drives the way people are behaving. In other words, not wearing a mask, deciding that this is all like fallacy and it doesn't exist, or I'm taking this very seriously and what the government tell me I'm going to do. It's all down to beliefs and values. And I think you're right. And I think the most important thing, and I've really understood this, is it's important to respect other people's beliefs and values. Because I think that if you don't do that, what you're doing is saying, do you know what, my way is the right way, and that's it. And for you to say, well, I read it here and I saw it on TV or whatever, it's not really the point. I think respecting someone's mindset, someone's beliefs, someone's experience is, I think, paramount when listening to someone speak. So what's that saying is that seek first to understand before you can be understood. So understand perhaps why they are wearing a mask.
Yeah.
Have they lost someone close? Quite possibly. Maybe not. Maybe they saw it on TV. Who knows? Yeah. But being able to respect that, I think, is the start of understanding people. I think if you just go with your kind of blinkered, this should be this way, this way, this way, you're never going to grow. You're never going to find about other people. So it is important, Alex. I think the whole thing about absolutely
get locked into particular ways of thinking and then just want to impose it on everyone, so to speak.
Yeah, exactly. And I think there are a lot of people there, isn't it? And I think we're often, dare I say, in that mindset. And I read it, I'm always reading, but you know, it's so easy to give opinion, but often we struggle to take it. Do you know what I mean? Take what perhaps what needs to happen. I think we're all guilty of that. So it's something to be aware of. But it's a big thing, sir. Beliefs is huge, you know.
And that's why we're here to talk about how to change your beliefs and unlock the best version of yourself.
Well,
if there's anyone who can do this, it's going to be you, sir.
Well, look, no pressure. I've only got 35 minutes, guys, so get ready. I mean,
so what? we better talk fast. And if you've only got 35 minutes, we better talk very fast.
We're on a timer, apparently. So look, I mean, where I always start from is that why I love talking about beliefs and mindset. If you think about it, the people listening to this, all right, the clothes they're wearing, the laptop they're using, maybe it's an Apple, maybe it's a PC, the aftershave they're wearing or the perfume they're wearing, the food they ate this morning or they haven't eaten yet, but they will be eating later on, is all based on your beliefs. And that's why when I became a speaker, one of the strongest things I thought was so important is to really nail the understanding of where beliefs come from, why we have the beliefs we've got. And what I want to do is hopefully just kind of help you a little bit along the way regarding that. So let's talk about formative years. Sir, between the 1 and 8, do you remember anything you learned between the ages of 1 and 8? What did you learn, sir?
Between the ages of 1 and 8, what is it?
Did you learn anything between the ages of 1 and 8? I'm hoping you're going to say yes.
Yeah, of course I did.
Did you learn to walk between the ages of 1 and 8?
Yeah.
Of course,
Did I walk before I was 1 year old? Yeah, I did walk. Yeah, I learned to walk.
Listen,
I learned to talk. Yeah.
All
I
of
could
that
probably count.
took place. Probably, yeah. All of that took place in your formative years, which are between 1 and 8. That's when your beliefs and values are established. And this is really important because I teach in secondary school. But I think the most important schools are not secondary, but primary schools, because in your formative years is when you believe what you believe because it's been built up from your parents, friends, mainly your mum or your dad, but all of the kind of cans and can't do. Don't touch this, cross here, mustn't do that, don't say that. Your alphabet is A, B, C. All of that is learned. Yeah, exactly. That's all in your formative years. Now, obviously, your environment has controlled that. And as I said, more than likely, I'm studying at the moment attachment in psychology, and they talk about the importance of your mother and your father being that kind of influence that determines your values and your beliefs. So once that's established, boom, all right, that's it. So 8, you know your name, you know how to count, you know how to walk, you know right from wrong. Right, you kind of know your awareness, your hair, your color, you know them kind of things by the time you get to 8. Now, what then happens is then you then go out with those formative beliefs about yourself. Okay.
Yeah.
And a lot of this gained where people have said to you, Alex, man, you can't draw, man. I've seen you drawing, man. Don't draw again because you just can't do it. That might be embedded in you as a belief. You, Alex, you can't cook, man. Is that something burning? That's you can't cook, man. Don't do it. All of these things are built up in your formative years. And then what happens? You take that out into the wider world. So we talk about 8, but 9, 10, 11, 12, we then start to drop into secondary school. And then, Alex, you're then going into school and the teacher says, right, we want to talk about people that have done cooking before. Anyone could cook before? You put your hand up and say, no, I can't cook. I'm no good. And then what happens? Because no one argues with that, because they don't know you, you are fulfilling a mindset, a belief that you've learned in your formative years. And if it's never challenged, you then get into your year 11s, year 12s, maybe, I don't know, A levels, maybe university, maybe not go straight into work with always that belief that you can't cook. Now, I've just used can't cooking as something as being quite light, but it could be something along the lines of what you do, public speaking. So I've come across a lot of students say, oh, I can't talk in public. No, I can't go up the front, man. I can't do. But that's more than likely been developed at those early ages, and you've just perpetuated it as you've gone into your secondary school, started talking to people about what you.
No one has ever died. No one has ever died from speaking public.
This is it. You see, this is so important. See, now what you just said there is often what is not challenged. So what do we do? All right, what do we do? Because it's a big, big problem. So I think what I want to do is just talk about beliefs and how they affect what you gain in life. So first of all,
before we drop into that, right? Because you're talking to my audience here who don't really know you, Steve. So I just want to ask some basic questions about who are you, who do you serve, and what got you to this point of your life.
Gosh, they're real questions.
You've got 1 minute.
Right. Okay. Starting from there. Who am I? My name's Steve Beckles Ebusua. Known as the Speaker of the Orange Tie. As you see the orange room behind me, orange has always been my thing, because orange is a vibrant color made up of the 6 qualities I talk a lot about. It's full of energy, it's bold, it's bright, it's vibrant, and it's engaging. And I think that really encompasses who I am. I go to schools, colleges, universities, and companies, talking about, as you heard bits of, growth mindset, beliefs, and what drives individuals to make change. So I do soft skills training. And the reason I do soft skills training is because my knowledge of beliefs and how people are when it comes to going on training and trying to understand and improve their confidence or their communication skills all comes from your beliefs. So bottom line is beliefs, mindset, growth mindset. That's what I specialize in. But deliver soft skills training in companies and organizations, and go into schools, delivering training for young people, helping with the GCSEs and all around this time during lockdown, etc. So revision skills, memory skills. So that's who I serve. What got me here? It's an interesting question. I think, dare I say belief, really. I think I just started to say to myself, well, you've got to start doing things that people don't do and be unique about it. So the orange is quite unique, but it's more than that. It was about me realizing what drives me, what's my passion, what will I do for nothing? I think that's a great question to ask many people. What would you do for nothing with enthusiasm? So
was that speaking? Really, you speak for nothing.
Yeah, I'll speak to anyone who listens, honestly. But I hope that kind of answers your 3 questions. That's kind of me. Really.
Because so you enjoy speaking. So what got you into the system, into the educational system?
Right. So I worked at a school called Kingsmead School in Enfield. I absolutely loved it. Had a passion. I was a mentor there for a number of years. Did bits of teaching. I did bits of support work and absolutely loved it. And I found that what I enjoyed doing was the mentoring role. I often talk about a sandwich, and the teacher is the top bread. The student is the other bread, and the thing to keep it together is often the ingredients. And what I was as a mentor, I was that person, that go-between, because there was often a friction between teacher and student. And so what I ended up being was that ingredients in between to hold it together. And I loved the role. I loved the role. I was able just to kind of talk to students, not as a teacher per se, but someone that really understood their side, but at the same time, listening to the teacher's point of view, and I know what it's like in teaching. It's such a struggle, such a stress. And if you've got little Johnny that is being a pain and will not behave himself, he's going out. Why? Because I need to continue the class, to continue to teach. And so I think a lot of people maybe negate that the challenges that teachers do have in order to hit targets, to make sure things are going, but also little Johnny that perhaps is at a different place. He's not ready to go where the tutor would like to take him. So that's why I love my mentoring role in the school.
Wow. But you're in a very unique position because, as you said earlier, that a lot of our beliefs are shaped in the formative years within our background, our school system. So you're acting like you're like a bridge. You're in the bridge of the formative years, from the transition from the early years to secondary and to university. You're in the middle of all that, helping to reshape beliefs. How have you found that you've been able to reshape young people's beliefs about themselves, about the world during this time?
Yes, it's a very good question, Alex. I think I use a formula, which I originally heard from a guy called Anthony Robbins many, many, many years ago. But what he says, it's great. It's 4 lines, really. That your beliefs determine your attitude. Your attitude determines how you feel. How you feel determines how you act. And how you act determines what you gain in life. So let me just give you an example. You've got little Johnny, talk about little Johnny, doesn't like going to school. That's his belief, right? It then affects his attitude, all right? So you even talk about school at the weekend. He kind of feels negative, doesn't like it. His attitude then determines how he feels. So on a Sunday evening, probably, he's thinking, school tomorrow, so maybe make up an excuse of feeling ill, or start talking about feeling ill. We've all done it, haven't we? Yeah, Sunday afternoon, oh, got a bit of a bellyache, so he doesn't like to go into school on the Monday. And ultimately how we feel then determines what he gains from life, from the way he acts. So your beliefs affects your attitude determines how you feel determines how you act. Doesn't feel like going to school, then how you act is what you gain from life. So little Johnny's truancy, when he does go into school, he's got a bit of an attitude, doesn't want to get anything done. And what happens? It's all started from the belief. So I say to students, shift your beliefs, and then everything else will move. Which is not easy, but if you can shift what you believe in, your attitude will change. How you feel about what you have to do will change. The way you do it will change. And then what you gain from life will be totally opposite to what you thought before. So shifting the belief.
For an adult. That's a great statement for an adult about changing your belief. How does a young person start to even try to change what they believe?
It's a challenge. I'll tell you why it's a challenge. And I'll answer the question by first saying this, though, is that students or young people are living with their parents, and their parents have beliefs and mindsets. Okay. So where the challenge often comes in is when I've done what I've done, I've said to students, get out there, bang, bang, do what you need to do. They go home and they go into a beliefs mindset of the parents. Yeah, that's right. And you might have your belief in whatever, but as long as you're living, you've heard this before when you were younger, I'm sure, as long as you're living underneath my roof, you've got to do what I say. We've all heard that. So it's a very good question. How do you change that? Now, what I often do is I give them small steps, right, that don't cost anything, which obviously helps for students, but also for adults as well. But all it does, it just takes you to just shift your behavior. Remember, part of that kind of beliefs affect your attitude.
Yeah.
As soon as you change your behavior, everything changes. So one of the biggest things I often say is the best thing to do is the right thing. The next thing to do is the wrong thing. But the worst thing to do is nothing. So shift your behavior. So that's what I asked them to do, give them kind of 5 steps and to do that.
And how do students or young people respond to this? Is it something they take to immediately, or you have to keep prompting them to take this?
Yeah, that's another good question. It's about buying, isn't it? It's about buying. You ever received a Christmas present that's been wrapped up really, really nicely? Yeah, really nicely. How do you feel about opening it? It's been wrapped up really nicely. How do you feel about it?
You're excited, man.
Of course you are. Why?
Yeah.
Because the wrapping, the outside looks so well presented that I'm going to open this up and look at this present. I think delivering to young people is exactly the same. And in fact, adults as well, I think you'll agree as a speaker, is that you're wrapping, your outer shell, your packaging, the way you present yourself has to be such where the kids want to say, yeah, open the present, man, I want to see it.
Builds
Rather than if I
anticipation, I think. Yeah.
exactly, rather than me
Yeah.
wrapping up something in a brown paper thing with like newspaper, whatever, and I give it to you, you're not going to really want to open it because you're going to think, well, there's probably nothing in it. Why? Because of the wrapping. So, you know, the orange tie, the orange, everything orange. My mini's orange, by the way. A big shout out for my car. His name's Lucy. Her name's Lucy, I should say. So I'm just crazy on the orange, and it's a buy-in. Look what you said when I first came on. The first things you said is the orange, and all the rest of it.
Yeah, the speaker with the orange tie.
Exactly, and he's got his phone here, but that's going to stop. I'm not going to show anything.
How did you
more orange
feel?
now.
How did you feel when you went to where did you go and you walked into the reception? It was all orange. There was somewhere you went to speak.
Yes.
And you walked into the reception and it was all orange.
It was. I know what you're talking about. I can't remember exactly where it was, but you
I
know,
mean, they didn't paint it orange just for you.
Funniest thing when I walked in there, the receptionist, because I always get the reception from the receptionist. They normally say, "Oh my gosh, where'd the orange go?" But I pointed at the wall and I said, "Look, see, I told you, I live here. You need to get out." And she kind of laughed. But it's funny, isn't it? But I don't think my message is particularly new, but it's the wrapping.
Yes.
And if people can buy into your rapping and thinking, I love this guy, I love the rapping, love all of it, what happens? People say, well, just tell me your message. And obviously your message is delivered in your tonality, your body language and whatever. And hopefully that then engages people. But it's about steps. It's about taking steps. And, you know, hopefully I'm about to share those with you and what steps I take with the kids. Again, it's all to do with you taking action, not you going out and buying this or doing this in order for this to work. It starts with you. You know.
Wow. So you were just talking about the steps. So
yeah,
what do you consider are those steps?
Yeah. Well, one of the things I always say to people is for things to change, you must change. Okay, and it's very simple. Was it Dr. Wayne Dyer once said that? For things to change, you must change. So first of all, I talk about 24-hour challenge, and it's very easy, all right? Because 24 hours, hence the name. But what you do these steps, and it's easy, right? So the first one is very, very straightforward. It's try not to say or do anything negative for 24 hours. Okay, simple as that. All right, nothing harder, nothing easier. It's simple as that. All right. Now, the reason I'm asking you to do this, or I'll ask a person to do this, is because I don't know where that person's starting from. That person might be a very positive person anyway, and they'll say, "That's a piece of cake, no problem, fine." There might be some people, and I think a lot of us might fit into this category, when occasionally you might have said something a bit negative about someone. Why? Ego, all the rest of it. What I'm asking you to do is challenge your subconscious. Let me briefly explain. Subconscious is 90% of what we do. So I'm blinking at the moment, and that's all been done by my subconscious. All right. The conscious is if I was to raise my left hand. I'm consciously doing that. That's only 10%. All right. So 90% subconscious, 10% conscious. When you want to change, can you imagine how challenging that is? And that's why people aiming to lose weight, aim to start going down the gym is such a challenge, because what you're aiming to do is override a 90% with this little 10%. So you say to yourself, right, I'm going down the gym. 90% is just, do you know what? Put yourself back in that front room and just get those bars of chocolates and crisps now. And you're like, okay, because it's habitual behavior. So just as the start on that first tip, to start to try to not say or do anything negative might be easy for a lot of people, but some people, a lot of us do, have the kind of, I don't know, negative, oh, what's she doing now? Why is she always doing that? I want you to give that a try. Now, notice I haven't said thought or thinking negative, because that's impossible. I'll tell you for why. You just need to pick up the newspaper, and that can feed you something for you to then think negative. So it's nothing to do with thinking. It's just about saying and doing. Get a sheet of paper. If you mess up, all right, in that first 24 hours, what you need to do is just write it down.
Wow.
What did you do? What did you do? What did you think? Oh, what did you say, I should say. All right. Now, once you've done that, okay, I'm going to give you the other steps. So once you've done that, if you fail, so in other words, Alex rings me and says, Steve, I need your help, man. I just need you to help me out. And I say, Alex, I'd like to, but I'm just so busy. Yeah, I'll try. But yeah, and I'm sitting there watching TV. Yeah, I need to write down why did I fail, and why didn't I want to help Alex? Can you see where this is going? It's
Yeah.
now looking at what is your issue or issues that you are having, for you to be like that, for you to respond, I can't help it. Has Alex let me down? Yeah, a couple of weeks back. And it's like, you think I'm helping you out? No, I don't think so. Because if that is happening, it's about you looking at pattern behavior.
Right.
You have to address you. Alex can't change Alex unless I either speak to Alex about it, I cut Alex off altogether, or I say to myself, do you know what? I need to address where I'm coming from. Perhaps he was going through a challenging time. I need to just think, do you know what? It's not about me. Maybe something was going on in his mind. That's why he didn't say thanks for the time I helped him. Do you see what I mean? So it takes it to a slightly different level. Because now all of a sudden you're thinking, this is about me. And I often say this to people that are often tied up with doing all these things that seems to me nonsensical. I often say to them, what's the real issue that's going on? No, Steve, it's this the trees, man. And you saw the trees out, cutting down the trees. And listen, don't get me wrong, it is important. However, when I then speak to them further, oh, wow, man, my relationship, man's mash up. I've just been, it's just so much on my mind. I just don't know what to do. Do you see what I mean? Yeah. Not always the case. Something else going on. All right. So you've got to be prepared to take that step. All right. So you're having those, I'm not going to help that person, or you've said something. Make a note of it. It's only 24 hours. If you don't do it at all, that's great. But you need, I think as Einstein said, that geniuses think on paper. Once you get it written down, you ain't going anywhere. Okay. Wow. So that's the first one. Second one is an important question to ask yourself, actually. When was the last time you did something for the first time?
When was the last time you did something for the first time?
Absolutely.
Wow.
When was the last time? Yeah. So Einstein said you should be doing at least 2 to 3 things a week that you've never done before. You ask the average adult and they'll give you that blank face. I don't know. When I went for my job interview 12 years ago. Do you know what I mean?
Adults are stuck in a routine.
There we go. Which buys into the subconscious, the routine of doing the same thing over and over again. I ask people, I say to students, at least one thing a week you've never done before. Try one thing. And this doesn't have to be anything monumental. You know, where's Steve? Oh, he's traveling to Cuba, or he's going to whatever. He's going here. It doesn't have to be monumental. It could be something quite small, like knocking the door of your neighbor.
Wow. Say that again to my audience. I think that, say that again to my audience. At least once a week, do something that you've never done before.
You've never done before. All right. Now, like I said, it doesn't have to be anything monumental where you're spending thousands of pounds on what this brand new TV because Steve suggested I do something new. Don't do it. What I'm going to suggest you do is maybe knock on the neighbour's door.
Right.
If they open the door, that is, because nowadays people don't open the doors. But just ask to see how they're doing. Yeah. Ring that friend that they are friends, but you don't tend to chat that much. You just kind of once or whatever, or every 2 months or 3 months. Ring them now. Well, not now because you're talking to me, but try it. All right, try once a week. Phone call, an email, a response from someone who has asked you how you're doing, but you don't normally respond to them because they don't expect a response. No, change that. Just kind of, yeah, I'm fine. How are you? Going into a sweet shop. I do this all the time. Strike up a conversation. Just very basic, nothing heavy, but how are you doing? How's your day? Listen, the amount of times that people are, I think, spoken rudely to in shops, I think that shopkeeper will take what you ask them as something that will get them to think and possibly feel that you're interested in what they have done in their day. Guys, you'll be amazed by the response because all of a sudden you're doing something you don't normally do. Now, that subconscious, that 90% is saying, don't be so ridiculous. Don't listen to this orange guy. Just go in there, buy your paper and get out. You got things to do. How about just pausing that for a minute? Just for a minute. And just ask them how they're doing. How's your day been? Can you see how you're challenging your belief system? Because your belief system would be, get in there, get a newspaper, get out, get in the car, and let's go.
But that's what you do. That's
what you do.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but how about suspending your disbelief? I love this. Yeah. Dr. Wayne Dyer talks about this, is when you suspend your disbelief in doing it. Just suspend it for a minute and just do it. Yeah, we suspend our disbeliefs all the time. When you watch a film, have you ever been emotional watching a film or watched a film where you thought, oh my gosh, that's terrible, and it is a film? See what you've done? You've just suspended disbelief. You do it without thinking. However, to suspend your disbelief about yourself and say, do you know what? Let me go back in that shop and ask that guy how he's doing. Or you know what? Let me knock on my neighbour's door. Or you know what? Let me give that guy a bell. You're suspending the disbelief you have about yourself. Give it a try.
Wow.
All right? These are all things that you can do,
And
you'll get
there's such small things.
Tiny. But what happens? You then start to build up a momentum, and this is what I like to talk about, because when you build up a momentum, you become unstoppable. Since the lockdown, I've lost, I don't know, 1.5 stone in weight. I mean, I know you didn't know me before, but let me tell you now, the first 6 months was agony, painful. You know, the voices in my head. Honestly, the reason my mind was saying to me, Steve, buy some chips. You need to buy chips. But I've just eaten it. It doesn't matter. Buy chips. When was the last time you bought chips, Steve? You might as well. And I found myself getting my shoes and my coat, and then I said, whoa, no, stop. And I had to close the door and go back in my place, because the conversation nearly got me to not break my pattern of behavior. All right. So it's challenging, but I just think it's something that can make a difference. The next thing, I love this one. It's called the 3-2-1. And it's really powerful. And listen, after I finish talking about this, I'm sure you're going to try this, Alex. Listen, when you count down from 3-2-1, something happens. All right. There's part of your brain called your basal ganglia. And that takes care of all of your kind of subconscious things you don't think about. Okay. But when you count down from 3, 2, 1, it interrupts the basal ganglia, and there's something called your prefrontal cortex comes alive. So, Alex, if I was to say to you, just raise your right hand, okay, what would happen? Right, you're doing that. You've stopped your process of listening to me, the basal ganglia, and you thought, right, okay, pause, and then you just raised your hand. Okay, that is stopping the flow of the basal ganglia. When you count down from 3, 2, 1, you do the same thing. How many times have you heard builders lifting a table? All right. There's a big table, and they all goes, right, guys, you ready? 3, 2, 1. Have you heard them? Yeah. On the 1, something in their brain stops the flow of the basal ganglia. The prefrontal cortex kicks in. Bang! All of a sudden, they're engaged and they're ready to lift the table.
What energy?
Yeah. In school, and if you've been in a school recently, there were some kids. I'll never forget it. It was about 2 or 3 years ago. Year 6s, loads of noise. Teacher walked in. And teacher said, right, we need to be quiet. And I thought, good luck, because there's about 50 all over the place. What did she do? She stood there. She went, 3, 2, 1. On 1, you could hear a pin's pin drop, mate. It was just crazy, because the kids heard the 3, they heard the 2, and then they were ready for the 1.
An automatic response then.
Automatic response. This is what I'm asking you now to do, Alex. If you don't want to do something, count down from 3, 2, 1, and then move. That's where Nike gets his strap line from, is just do it. Don't even think about it. Just do it. Just get up. Now, the best test is on your own. So when we finish talking, sir, and no one's around, I want you to count down from 3, 2, 1, and stand up for no reason. Now, I will never know if you ever do that, but can you see, if you do it, can you see what you've done? You've taken the basal ganglia, which is the habitual way of thinking, and you've interrupted it with your countdown, and your prefrontal cortex, bang, all of a sudden you take action. Do you see? I do this. I don't do it so much now, because I consider myself quite well driven. So if I need to do it, I do it. But there have been times, in fact, I did it yesterday, actually, where I was just feeling a bit tired. I had to get the front mood tidied up, wasn't in the mood, sitting there doing some reading. And I thought, that's it. 3, 2, 1, bang. The minute I said 1, I was off. I just jumped up, and it broke my pattern.
3, 2, 1.
And just do it. Just do it. I read a book, Melanie Robbins was the concept.
Yes, I know Melanie Robbins.
She starts down, but 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's what she does. But I think that's too long, so I've just shrunken it down a bit. Yeah, and now just do 3, 2, 1. Yeah.
Because
try it.
When I was a kid, I go to church. Preachers used to do that at the end of their sermon.
Wow.
They'd count down.
Mm.
The
You
people
see?
coming forward, and they'd count
Yeah.
down 3, 2,
Yeah.
1, bam.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
People to
It's
move out of their
powerful.
seats.
It's powerful. When I spoke in the States, the amount of feedback. I spoke for amazing guy, great guy. If he's watching it, Eric Swanson, Habitude Warriors. I must have gone to about 8 or 9 of his across the States, and it was just amazing. And I just delivered that talk. It's about, I don't know, 20, 25 minutes. And I delivered that, and the amount of response I got from people saying, it's 3, 2, 1, Steve. Steve, I'm going to try that 3, 2, 1. Try it. Because the things I've so far explained to you are things that you could just do. You don't need any equipment. You don't need, well, the pen and the paper maybe for writing down at the end about, doing something new, and the positive, saying positive things instead of negative. But can you see how simple it can be? Yeah. The next one, or last one actually, is, have you heard of a lady called Carol Dweck?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So those that haven't, she's known as the growth mindset woman. She's done some amazing work with young people and adults as well, using the power of language and using the word "yet." She was asked to go into a school about 10 years ago to try to improve the grades. The students were failing, and when they failed, they would get a certificate saying failed. They were then asked to do a retake. Okay. The retake rate was about 17%. So let me just clarify that. They would fail, asked to do the exam again, and the retake rate, improvement rate, was only 17%. She was asked to go in, not just to improve, obviously, the failing, but the resitting rate. Is there any way you could bring it up? The head teacher said, look, is there anything, any techniques you can employ to change this? And she said, it's very straightforward, actually. You just need to change some words. And she said, change some words, but we're prepared to spend thousands on a new educational system to get people to improve. Blah, blah. She said, no, you don't need to do that. Change some words. And she said, what words? She said, well, look, instead of saying when they failed, put the word failed, F-A-I-L, I'd like you to put the words not yet.
Wow.
Now, the head teacher thought about this and said, don't be so ridiculous. That's not going to make the slightest bit of difference, because they've still failed, haven't they? But she said, just bear with me on this. He did. He listened. The students, unfortunately, still weren't as successful as they were when they took the exam. But however, instead of putting the words fail, they put the words not yet. Now, after that, they had to resit. The resit rate went from 17% up to 37% improvement.
Wow.
And as I explained to students, the power of words.
Not yet.
Because not yet. So that's the next thing I want you to now think about, is don't say you can't do it. Just say you haven't done it yet. All right. Now, this is more of a thing to say to yourself, but I think it's important to say it out loud to other people that have said to you, you managed to do that? So, no, I haven't done it yet. Because what happens, your brain takes the route of least resistance. When your brain says you can't do it, your brain's giving it. It's like, yeah, get in there. Because your brain has about 50,000 thoughts a day. And the last thing it wants is you saying you're going to do other things. So when you say you can't do it, the brain's pleased about it, because it then shuts the possibility of that being done. So when I hear students say, can't do it, it's too hard, too difficult, the brain just shuts down. However, when you say, I haven't done it yet, this is what happens.
Wow.
Yeah, not quite able to close. Words are powerful. I think it's Winston Churchill once said that, or something said of Winston Churchill, is that he had the ability to take the English language and send it into battle. Yeah, words are powerful. And when you're telling yourself you haven't done it yet, your brain can't totally shut down. It can't.
Well, here's a question coming out. Today's question. Yeah. Why is belief so important to you?
Because, and it's a great question, because beliefs drive, as I kind of mentioned earlier, everything I believe and what I do. I read this many moons ago. Everything you do, the way you do anything is how you do everything.
Yes.
Yeah. And that, for me, is really important, because when you look at what you believe, it will determine whether you put a mask on, whether you go jogging, whether you eat healthy food, whether you decide to ring that friend you said you're going to ring, but now you're not really feeling like it, is whether you pay back that money that you owe to other people. Your beliefs are you. And that's why to mess about with your beliefs and not really being sure of what you want sometimes can be detrimental to where you end up in life, because it will affect your attitude, the way you feel, the way you act, and what you gain from life. So that's why making clear in your mind what you believe, and don't get me wrong, beliefs can change. Obviously, they change.
Yeah.
But having an idea of what you represent and your value. In coaching at the moment, a guy contacted me, it's only 2 days ago, saying, Steve, how much shall I charge for my talks? I'm sure you get that same question as well, Alex. I said, how much do you believe you're worth? I did. That's what I said to him, how do you believe you're worth? And he went away and he said, Steve, do you know, I'm not sure. I said, your value is so important. So you have to relate that in your price. Do you believe that? But there's also other factors. What do they believe they can afford? What do you believe their budget? Don't get me wrong, that's relevant as well. But you've got to start from your value. Yeah, what do you believe?
So you ask
that's
them
a great question.
What is their budget to begin with, so that
there we go.
Leeway.
Yeah, see, can I see what I mean? See, there invariably you adjust your belief systems. You can't be saying £2,000 an hour and their budget's £200, because there's a very short conversation you're having there. Do you know what I mean? So, but it's a good question, and adjusting and looking at what your beliefs are is very important.
So, have you seen the impact of what you're doing on the students directly in your period of time? Have you seen it?
I tell you what's so nice. I'm putting together an impact report at the moment. I spoke at a school called Bridge Mary School. Big shout out to Anna. I just saw the picture on my Facebook. A lady standing next to me. She's dressed like it's a bit like a Joker. She's got like a stripy yellow green hat. She's the deputy head of the school. She's just like awesome. Big, it's a bit like the Joker, dressed a little bit like Joker. I was at that school just before we broke up, and I'm putting together an impact report. And I was going through the comments, because when you put an impact report, you put, what they thought of your delivery, what they've learned, and then you put the comments at the back and stuff like that. And I was just going through some of the comments. One girl in particular said, "I'm now going to try the 3-2-1," and I thought, yeah, she's got it. One girl said, "I've realized not to believe everything I think," which I thought, boom. Wow. Because that's what I often say to people: don't believe everything you think. Yeah.
That's a realization in itself.
It is, yeah. I'm always reading, I know, but I read somewhere, don't overestimate your ability to change others. We often overestimate our ability to change others and underestimate our ability to change ourselves. And I think that's so important. I see you've got another question there, sir. Oh, that's you. Yeah, big impact. And I think
that's what
I think behavior doesn't lie. All of these things I read, it's true. If someone says they're going to ring you, they don't ring you. All right. The behavior. No, it's true. Get all those people listening there saying, oh, they were held up. Listen, it wasn't priority. Now, don't get me wrong. I know there are some things that are important, but generally, behavior doesn't lie. So when schools, and I feel very blessed, are contact me for the new term, and I feel very blessed to be working quite a bit in September. I'm guessing their behavior is such where I've been able to engage, leave, dare I say, a legacy, maybe, something that they can go away with and hopefully work with, which is very important.
You've been working with these young adults to help change their mindsets and help change their belief system. Do you think some of that's required in the adult population, to help change?
Hell yes, big time.
Is there anything that you're going to push out into the adult population to help them?
Well, fortunately, you say that. I have put a series of programs together, actually. But if the listeners and the viewers were to go to www.orangeonlinelearning.com, all right, then click courses. All right, I've just got a passion, and I've created this during the lockdown. Okay, put together 5 modules that cover everything I spoke about, but in greater depth. It's online, all right? So you'll have my voice, all behind PowerPoint. And also I give coaching sessions afterwards. Very briefly explain, 5 modules: beliefs, fears, thoughts, feelings, and communication. They are kind of animations with me speaking and PowerPoint and all the rest of it. It's all about going through each module. And with the modules, you get multiple choice things with them. You get answer questions. You get exercises to do. You get tests at the end of each of the modules. Also, as I said, you've got 2 optional coaching sessions after the session. have a look. You know, I'm not really a guy that's into the big selling and all the rest of it, because I always think that your results really help people to make their decisions. And I'd like to think that in being in business now for over 20 years, speaking, motivating, coaching would be good enough. But yeah, just visit orangeonlinelearning.com, click courses. You'll see there's 3 courses: teams, for the adults, and for businesses. And you'll see how the programs are broken down, all online. You could bash through it. One guy said he completed the whole program. I think he did it in 2 weeks. Some people are just doing one module at a time with their sons and daughters. All of that is all about, I think, just trying to do something different. Yeah. And hopefully, you know, I've come across in that way that you realize that, yeah, just love what I do, but at the same time, it's about making a difference. And as you can see, Alex is kind of just scrolling down. Just click onto courses. And when you click onto courses, you will see those 3 sections, either teams. So if you've got a team that you'd like to kind of go through with it, etc., and see how they can develop, or yourself, or maybe a company. You know, I've done quite a few companies as well. If you want to contact me, you can. You could just contact me on Steve at thespeakeroftheorangetie.com. Maybe we could speak about it. But here's the programs. Look at this young man. I'm going to employ as my PA, sir. Absolutely love it. But you can see how those modules are broken down. And for me, you know, it's realizing that there has to be a time where, like I was saying earlier with those 4 steps I gave you, you've got to do something. And if you do feel that you're stuck, or you need to do something, you've got to take some action. Because if you don't take action, what happens? Something then happens to you, which then puts you out of control. Wow. So gain the control by just taking control and taking action. And thank you for scrolling that up there. So it looks very good. Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, that looks, I mean, I can see the orange coming through again.
You can see, young man, there is no denying the orange.
That is
you know what I mean?
That is wonderful.
And the thing is, everything, I say everything, but I get a lot of, actually, I think my orange is on the wall there. So look, I get people often saying to me, Steve, I haven't eaten it yet, but I get people saying to me, Steve, even I see orange, I kind of think that's that speaker.
Yeah, that speaker.
Which is like surreal, to say the least. And also, if you ever type in if you type in Steve Orange Tie,
yeah,
I come up. So I just feel that's like, you know, I've established something. What, I'm not quite sure, but if you ever type in Steve Orange Tie, it's great. But yeah, it's good.
Is there something that you wanna tell the adult population that they should be doing or can do to help in especially coming out the pandemic now into what we call our version of normality? But before you go there, let me just go to our sponsor. You are listening to the Message Talk Show and Podcast. Do you believe you have something to share? Do you believe you have something to contribute? Do you have a story to tell the world, to share with your community? Gandhi said, man often becomes what he believes himself to be. If you think you can, you can. If you think you can't, you can't. So join us on the Message Talk Show and Podcast with host Alex Gordon. So especially coming out of the season that we've been in, the 16 months of lockdown, now we are actively pursuing some things that we probably didn't do last year, but everyone's trying to get some form of normality.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whatever that definition is. What's your recommendation during this time?
Well, you know me in quotes, I love reading, and I read this many years ago, is that how would the person you'd like to be do what you're about to do, right? So imagine the person you'd like to be, right? What would they be doing now in order for you to be that person? So I suppose the point I'm making is that sit down and just think about the person you'd like to be, what you'd like to do. It could be something really straightforward. It could be just losing some weight because of the lockdown. It's been a nightmare. Just write that down, right? And then imagine that person, size 10 or whatever, standing next to you, peering over your shoulder. What would they say to you that you needed to do? And when you hear that inner voice, because listen, we know the answers to all of the questions, right? You write it down, okay? And once you've written it down, break it into steps. So, for example, if it's lose 4 stone because the lockdown has caused you to put on so much weight. So 4 stone, how are you going to lose 4 stone? Start from today. It might not be anything to do with food. It might not have anything to do with exercise. It could be just you sitting in this moment thinking, right, this is my plan. And I'm not a big goals person, but Simon Sinek said, when you're clear on your destination, you can be flexible on your route. So if you know your destination is getting to 8 stone 3 or whatever, and at the moment you're, I don't know, 10 stone or whatever, is write down what you would like to do, all right? And just for a while, just look at it and start thinking to yourself, how am I going to do this? How am I going to change this? Now, remember these steps I've spoken about already, they will help, especially the 3-2-1. That will get you to take action. Maybe you just need to walk around the block. I've got my step thing. I've had it for well over 2 years now, and it's helped me to lose the weight I have. And let me tell you now, the weight I've lost is just from walking. Obviously, my diet has played a massive part, but it's been walking, using the 3-2-1 late at night, not too late at night, but it might be about 9 o'clock. I just walk around the block and then come back. What it does for you, it gives you that flow of dopamine. Dopamine is a chemical that gives you that reward feeling. And the more dopamine you have in your system, the greater momentum you build up. So in other words, people say start in small chunks. Start in small chunks. Write down what you want. What would you want to happen? Just write it down. Remember, I said geniuses think on paper. Once it's on paper, it ain't going anywhere. All right. So that's the first thing. On average, we have 50,000 thoughts a day. So you can imagine you've got all these thoughts wheeling around. They're not going to stick. So write them down. And then just for those things you wrote down, just work out, how am I going to do this? And what it does, it gives you an impetus, that kind of, right, I'm going to do this. I'm going to kind of get this drive, Then hopefully, if you subscribe and you download my coaching programs, you'll be there in a week. No, you won't. But hopefully that will help as well. But whatever route you take, you need to take it now. And not say, oh, it's Thursday, I'll get going at the beginning of the week, I'll start on Monday. No. The best time to start is now. And once that starts to happen, you start to build up a momentum. You then start to generate the dopamine. The goals start getting hit. You start to feel more positive. And all of a sudden, you build up this unstoppable momentum. And you start mixing with people that have the same mindset as you. And before you know it, you're where you want to be. But it has to start now, I believe, by writing it down. Hope that helps.
Wow. Tremendous.
It's all about you, sir. It's all about you.
It's been great having you on the show today with
it's been a pleasure.
such wisdom about belief. About the way we think about, you are pure, you're surely a mind expert, tapping into the thoughts, tapping into the simplicity.
It's simple.
It's the simplicity of the way we think.
It is. It is
and
very,
sometimes
very
we make things bigger than they are.
Mm-hmm.
And when they feel insurmountable, then we don't do nothing at all.
Exactly.
Don't do anything.
Exactly.
And that's easy just to stay there.
Easy.
But you're saying 3, 2, 1, do.
Right, I'm off. See you later. Oh, stay. But can you see? It's just about doing it. And once you do it once, it will feel funny. It will feel different. It will feel, oh, I've not felt like this before. But that's part and parcel of breaking the basal ganglia and the prefrontal cortex kind of taking control. And you saying, do you know what? I'm going to start doing this now. Sometimes it's better not to tell anyone. Sometimes. Because you'll have good people around you that won't see your vision.
And they'll talk you out of it.
They'll talk you out of it. And often, not always, but often people that do try to talk you out of it can feel vulnerable at your new sense of you.
What do you mean? Why? They feel vulnerable because of the new you?
Yeah, but let me tell you, there are a lot of people out there that I think get a feeling of, when someone fails, they feel good. I know there are loads of people out there. I listen, to a point, I've been there where someone hasn't succeeded. You think, oh, that's okay. Because it makes me feel, well, they haven't gone any higher. I used to be very much like that. But I think it's about realizing there are some people, I don't call them negative people. I just think there are people that are on a different path. and they'll prefer not to see you succeed. I mean, Alex, that's life. Not everyone's like that. But to a certain point, when you've achieved something and they haven't, the natural thing is to self-reflect. Why haven't I done that? How many times have you been in a job where someone leaves for more money? What's the first thing that goes through your mind when they're leaving, on their leaving day, or when they've told you they're leaving? What's the first thing that goes through your mind, Alex?
Leaving me here.
What are you thinking?
Leaving me here.
Yes, right, yeah, and exactly, and then sometimes they tell you how much they're earning in their new place. I mean, that's not good. So what we naturally do, we self-reflect. So you're pleased for them, but you're thinking they're on how much, and I'm on what? That's what we do. That could be a moment's thought, or it could be a thought where you think, do you know what, I need to get out of it. And dare I say, that interrupts the basal ganglia. Yeah. So you telling me, Steve, I'm now leaving because I'm working X and I'm earning 100 and whatever. All of a sudden, I've interrupted my happy-go day. And I'm thinking, what? I'm earning how much? And do you see? And now I'm in my conscious, my prefrontal cortex has taken over. So it's in all of us. We're human beings. It does happen. So it's about taking action, guys, you know?
Wow. It's about taking action, folks. This is about taking action. Change your beliefs, change your life, change. And we live in that comfort. Why do we? I mean, I need to stop asking you questions now, but why do we stay in that comfort zone? What is it about the comfort zone? Why are we so comfortable?
Well, you just said it twice. That's just explained the question, because it's comfortable, isn't it? You know? And I think what happens when you're comfortable, you are able to grow. And people don't think that's true. People think, no, you always got to be growing. I don't believe in that. I think to be comfortable is important to a point, because then you grow your strengths as a speaker. I bet when you first started speaking, you were kind of, you did your first talk, it went well, and you kept going, and you're in your little comfort zone. Why? Because you're practicing, you're improving. There's no point in you saying, right, I'm going to have a speak in Carnegie Hall now, I'm ready to go. No, you're not. You're going to fail. Yeah, so that comfort zone is actually an important part of growing. You need that, but then there has to be a point. And with the 4 tips I gave you are good indicators to whether you are in your comfort zone or are you outside it. So all those things I spoke about, if you're doing them anyway, you're like, yeah, I do that. I do 3, 2, 1. I do them the last time I did something for the first time. I'm always thinking kind of positively about how people can change and all that. If you're doing that anyway, and you don't, you say, I haven't done it yet and whatever, fine. But most of us are not. Why we sit there? Because it's comfortable. And what happens, your environment is also comfortable as well. So, if you're hanging around people that are saying, boy, listen, Alex, boy, you're one of the best speakers, honestly. That's nice. I know you are anyway, sir. But, you'll be sitting there. You'll be sitting there in that comfort zone. What was it? I think it was Les Brown said that if you're the brightest one in your group, you need to find a new group. You need to find a new group.
You need to find a new group, man.
Anyhow, not good. You need to get out, because what happens invariably is that you then enter a false way of being. You think that everything is perfect. And listen, I know it when I'm speaking in schools. I've got my programs down to pat. I had them for changing them up. I've had them for near on 8, 9 years, changing them all up. And I've gone into a school, got it all nailed, ready to go. And I know within the first 5 minutes, I've got to tear up my programs, man. And I need to start again. Listen, because every child is different. On the spot. I've got other ones. I've written quite a few programs, and a lot of them are here. So I then you tweak them. You have to tweak them. Tweak them for girls, for boys, for all black boys. I delivered in, where was this? Notre Dame School. Actually, the girls, Notre Dame schools. Lovely girls. Big up Notre Dame School. But the girls, they were just, well, you had to be on your mark, boy. They were ready for me, man. Young girls, about 16, 17, they're all going, planning to go to uni. But these girls were on it. Yeah. And I couldn't do the fluffy kind of, which I can do some. Had to be hard. I'd be on point. And it was a great delivery. But in that first couple of minutes, I just knew, forget the fluffy.
It stretched you, though. It made you.
It
pushed you.
They pushed me, they stretched me, they really got me to realize that you can deliver, but it always depends on your audience. How good you are.
And on that note, guys, just understand this. All of this is just to get the best version of yourself working, pushing, and just contributing to the society in which we live. That's all it is about. The best version of yourself. And you know, as well as the online learning channel, orangeonlinelearning.com,
yeah.
You can also find this gentleman on a Sunday tuning in, chilling. Where?
It's OSSR. Big up OSSR and the staff at OSSR. Our South of Soul Radio. I'm trying to get Del into South Swing. He's trying his best. He's just moving his shoulders at the moment, but hopefully we'll move more of the body in order for him to dance. But OSSR, big up Del, big up Sophie. Amazing. I'm there every 2 weeks with Natalie Ward. She's amazing, my co-host. Not this Sunday, but if you go to my Facebook, Steve Beckles Ebusua, you'll find me, and just click on my link. Every other Sunday, we're hoping to, fingers crossed, have a head teacher, deputy head teacher at the end of the month, and we've got some great speakers as well. So it's just exciting times, mate. And so thank you so much for allowing me to give that shout out.
Exciting times, producing some exciting things. Thank you so much, Steve, for being on the show. Thank you. And folks, thank you for tuning into the Message Talk Show today, guys. And always tune in, guys. Come back again. Bring your friends, bring your enemy, bring your cup of tea. Miss the show. You got to be on the show.